What's up, social media? So I got my guy with me. We are enjoying each other on our mini anniversary enjoyment. And so with that said, we've been talking about, yesterday we talked about marriage. What we talk about?
Talk about how marriage
is
memories.
Married to memories. And today we're talking about being married to a mess. And I hope you enjoyed it. We got you guys questions. At the end of all this, we want the questions to keep coming through so that we will answer them on the last day. So I got to get Bishop when I can. And so I'm going to be able to answer all at one time with him on the last day.
When is that?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday's the last day. That's a shame. So we're talking about marriage is a mess. And we talked about yesterday, again, marriage is memories and the importance of staying together.
What about when you're married to a mess?
Ooh, that'll work too. You started off, Bishop.
Well, you just said it. You said when you're married to a mess. I think that's cool because, number one, when married to memories is what we talked about.
Y'all,
the
and
first
we freestyling this because we forgot some stuff. Wasn't planning to do this. We ended staying longer.
Yeah, so
we're using our hands.
So
yeah.
But my wife talked about the first day, and she brought the topics to me, and we don't sit down and talk about the topics. We just kind of she said, "Baby, this is what we're gonna talk about." I said, "Okay." Let me know when we're gonna hit record, and we're gonna start recording. And so the first day she told us that we were gonna talk about marriage, marriage to memories.
Yes.
We talked about that and discussed, the importance of making sure that you should divorce the memories before you divorce the marriage.
Right.
But she just talked about the other day also that we're going to talk about when being married to a mess. Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of just deal with that piece because marriage, I wish that we can say we married the perfect person, but I would like to say married the perfect person for us.
Right.
For two reasons. I believe we married the perfect person for us. For reason number one is because they're going to complement you. We always try to be, what we have in common, But we found out that marriage is not so much about what you got in common. It's almost how you complement me. What you have that I don't have, and vice versa. So number one, I believe that who you marry will be exactly what you need to fill the gaps and voids in your life. But secondly, I believe who you marry will be exactly what you designed to work on.
That's good.
It'd be exactly what you designed to work on, right? Because if God gave you a person that you didn't have to help, they wouldn't need you. Right. And so my wife became adequately able to fill the gaps in my life because of things I didn't know, the things I didn't have, but also became adequately perfect in my life because the things in my life that I'm struggling with. I've had some struggles. When she married me, I was a mess. I had control issues. I had pornography issues. I had struggling issues. And you got two type of people. You got some people who jump right in those issues and just embrace them, or take on responsibility of trying to change them. A third person is, we just divorced you because you're too much problem for me.
Right.
So that's my kind of thoughts about being married to a mess. It's work.
Okay, you're gonna have to hold.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So when I think about married to a mess, I think about when I came into it. First of all, I had been controlled by everybody, so you're not finna control me. And so I had an attitude, I had a wall up, I had a block up, I had just very, very mean, very, very mean-hearted because I was so nice to everybody else that I didn't want to go through the process of a man trying to tell me what to do, how to do, when to do it. And so now we got two people that are trying to grow together, and now we're both a mess. We're married to a mess. We're married to individuals that come in with baggage. I had baggage of, I talked about in some of my classes that I've had, master classes, of different things that I experienced as a kid, different things I experienced as a teenager, as an adult, as a young adult. And going through those things with guys made this wall come up. And so I brought all of that baggage. It goes back to the memories, right?
Yeah.
Where we bring those memories into the marriage. I brought my baggage into the marriage of hurt and pain, and I expected you to do the same thing, so I'm gonna have a wall up. So those are the things that I did, and I believe that so many of us do, is bring this mess into a marriage that we call marriage, that we never sat down with a counselor. We never sat down with, and I'm not talking about your pastors, your leaders. I'm talking about a spiritual, or your leaders that are spiritual advisors and not a counselor that could be able to guide you in the right direction. Most pastors are not counselors, but they're spiritual advisors that will advise you. But there's sometimes you need professional counseling before you even say I do, or even while in the middle of the mess. You got to be able to get someone to counsel. And I think what happened with us, we had people we were around that was able to give spiritual advice that helped us out during our marriage. I'll hold. I know you.
No, I can hold. I can hold.
You got it? Okay.
Because I think the key thing here is that, we got to ask ourselves a couple of questions. First question you got to ask ourselves is if you're going to survive this, because we're all a mess. We're all a mess. You know you're a mess. He know he a mess. But you got to ask yourself, can I handle his mess or can I handle her mess?
Right.
Sometimes we got married too quickly because we fell in love with one thing about this person, but we got 20 things that we don't like about them. And the one thing is just not cutting it. So how do we figure out if the marriage is worth salvaging? Is it, or should I marry this person because I'm dating a mess?
Right.
How do you know that it's worth it? This is the thing I want you to write down right now. When the liabilities are outnumbered by the assets, that they bring more to the table than they cost.
Come on, Bishop.
If you feel as though that,
Come on.
man, that I know, fact, man, he is a mess. He do have some issues with trust. He do have some issues with control, but he is a hard worker. He's a great father. He's a great lover. He takes care of his family, but he has some control issues. Now you got to ask yourself, what I'm saying? If the assets that he brings or assets that she brings to the table, she can cook, she can clean, she's a good provider, she takes care of the family, she's a spiritual woman, but yet she do have some, anger issues sometimes. Maybe she's has some daddy issues. Listen, you still may be anointed to help him.
Come on.
You still may be anointed to help her.
Come on.
Especially if especially if her gap is your strength.
Yes, sir.
Or his gap is your strength. If you know for a fact they got daddy issues, but yet you have a great relationship with your father, maybe you're not supposed to be the father, but the love your father gave you, you can give him, or vice versa. And I didn't have, and my parents may watch this video and they have to translate this to the best of their abilities, but I didn't have the same upbringing that my wife did. I had a broken family. I was with my mom one weekend, my dad one weekend. Sometimes my mom and me got along, sometimes we didn't. It seemed as though my wife had a different upbringing. So she helped me process things differently. And the same thing with her. She has some issues as well that I help her with. So you may be married to a mess, but ask yourself, are you anointed to help him?
Help him, yes.
Are you anointed to help her?
Come on, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a secret. Love can be an anesthetic. Newly connected relationships can be an anesthetic to the point to where God will allow you to marry something that you couldn't see.
Bishop, what that mean?
Anesthetic is something that puts you to sleep almost like right before
Okay,
they
my
put
bad.
you.
I knew that. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
Love can be an anesthetic to where you so caught up on love and all the things, and you walk into marriage and you get married to this person, and 5 years later, the anesthesia wear off. And you say, "What did I just do?"
What did I just do?
maybe 6 months later.
Right.
But God will let you marry and fall in love with something that you later realize, man, I still got to work on this thing.
Yeah.
So I think, but we got to realize that if we can sum up this lesson here is that.
No, I want to sum it up. Wait.
Say quit.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But sum it up. I think the key thing here is that marriage was never meant to be a place where you can relax.
Oh.
It's a place where you can relate.
I think that's what we got messed up at.
Yeah.
We thought that marriage. I thought that I'm gonna get married with the picket fence. Everything's gonna be great. Everything's gonna work out. And found out that it wasn't a relax. It was time to do work.
Yeah, we can relate to one another. We can compare. We can work with each other in partnership. I mean, marriage is the greatest partnership you ever have. You thought business partnership was one thing, but marriage is a partnership.
Yeah.
And now when you marry together and do business together, that's a double partnership. So
and even you got to grow in it.
Yeah. And listen, when two become one, right? When two become one, that is a process. That means I'm admitting that you got some problems and I'm coming into your life.
Come on.
And then you admitting I got some problems, you coming into my life.
Yes.
So the fact that we need each other make us one. So go ahead.
I want to say this. I'm going to give you a break. And I thought about this, Bishop, while we were sitting up here doing this, holding this phone. We doing this in a mess. We doing this in a whole mess. But I said this to say, anyway, Zipper, he was talking about one part about, when we come into each other, it's almost, and we talked about this in our book, Marriage Survival Guide, is that you become a zipper to where the places that you're weak, I'm strong.
Yeah, this is me. This is everything I'm good at.
And we're like this.
Yeah, and this is everything that she's good at, and we fill each other's gaps.
And they work together, even though we backwards. But it works together, and we become one. Because where I'm strong at, he's weak at. Where he's weak at, I'm strong at. And we fill the gaps in all those areas. So when you learn to just work together instead of being a mess, just make the zipper fit. The zipper don't always look good, and half of the time the zipper is covered up. Come here. And when the zipper is covered up, it's because sometimes people don't want you to see the part of the zipper. But I come to tell you the zipper is the part that keep the pants together.
That's good. The zipper's covered up. The zipper's covered up. That means when y'all go out to Christmas dinners and family gatherings, your family don't need to know your husband's weaknesses.
Yeah.
The zipper's covered up. The zipper's covered up. That means when you hang out with your boys don't need to know your wife's weaknesses. Whenever the zipper's covered up, your children don't even know each other's weaknesses.
Right.
It needs to be to the point to where even though I feel your gap, you feel my gap, my job is not.
Hold this again. I'm messing up.
Just because I feel your gap and she feels my gap, my job is not to put it out there, what our problems are, because now you expose not just the zipper, you expose the weaknesses.
Yes.
And now you're supposed to cover each other up and make sure strong.
You cover each other, and I'm not saying cover each other mess, because you should always go, again, it goes back to going to that spiritual advisor, going to that mentor, going to that person that can give you the right advice that's going to encourage you and equip you about your marriage, and both being willing to work. But it's your job, just like it's a man in the Bible. I have to cover him. There's nothing nobody's gonna know bad about him. Noah, when his sons had to cover him. You gotta be willing to cover your husband or cover your spouse in their mess. Nobody can walk in. I would hate the day for my husband to walk in and I'm talking noise about him to a friend, to a homegirl, to somebody that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I did it when I was younger, in our younger part.
That's the ultimate violation. I don't know about women, but as a man, for a woman to share my weaknesses with a woman, that's just demasculating. And especially for a woman to share my weaknesses to a man, that's just double emasculating. Protect your marriage, and I want to make sure that we're clear on this. No, you're not supposed to cover for your husband or cover for your wife, but you are supposed to cover them and keep them protected while they're healing.
That's right.
And so key thing, while they're healing, if it's an issue that's really bad, it is your job, you're the primary responsible person, to take it to the place it needs to help the most. If my wife's sitting right here and she's sick, and she's sick, and she's sick, and she's sick, and I don't force her to go to the doctor, I'm not being a husband, I'm not being a partner.
Right.
And
that's
so some of y'all, we say sickness and health, right? But it didn't say you had to stay sick.
Right.
We need to be sickness and in health. That means we're sick until we become healthy.
Right.
But we got to do some action to become healthy. So I guess at the end of the day, man, we all have problems, but we need help. And you have signed up to be my help.
Yes, and you signed up to be my help. Like he said, man, in sickness and in health, it goes back to our vows. Sickness is not always a disease. Sickness can be that part of your husband, your spouse, your wife that is a mess. And it's your job. You married it according to your intelligence. Unless you just say, like Bishop said yesterday, I couldn't believe he said it. Unless you just say, look, I don't want to put up with this and I'm done, just go ahead and walk away. But if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to be there, I'm so glad I got married to this mess. We have grown our mess. One thing about mess, I'm reminded of my husband and I just got our house and we've been putting grass out. They got this other grass that they got maneuvered. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's mess. But one thing, when we planted that mess in our yard and there was no grass in the yard, we saw it as we put water on it. We continue to pour into it. We continue to nurture it. We continue to spend time with it. And as we did that, now that grass has connected together, because we had it like squares. You remember? It was like squares, and it's connected together because we took time to take care of the mess. You got to ask yourself this question. Are you willing to take time with the mess? You got to take time with the mess. So yes, you're married to a mess, but you can take time with the mess. So if we could sum this up, I would sum it up and say, you're married to a mess, but it's also a message within the mess. So you got to be willing to say, I want to be connected to the message and the ministry that is connected to my marriage.
There's a lot here. There's a lot we probably could sit here and just unpack in many different directions. But like my wife said, at the end of the day, it's worth it. We had an old saying we used to say back in the day, that ministry is our misery. So go ahead and work through it, fight through it, continue moving forward. And on the other side of it, help somebody else come out of theirs. That's what we're going to do in our marriage.
And our ministry will turn into ministry. So we figure it out. So listen, until next time, we want to say thank you so much for rocking out with us in our mess of holding the phone. Thank you so much for rocking out too. Rocking out with us. Hey, check this out. Go to our website, my website, TonyaHarden.com. And on that website, it is talking about a marriage survival virtual boot camp. It is a 4-week boot camp that my husband and I are going to do virtual with you. In that boot camp, you're going to receive our books, a workbook. You're going to also receive a t-shirt. You're going to also receive a weekly group session with us where we're going to be talking to other people, including within those 4 weeks, if needed, you could have one of those sessions with us, one-on-one with you and your spouse, that we can talk to you and empower you. But we're going to be sharing how the power of love, parenting is a partnership. We're going to be sharing a lot of great things that's already in our book, but it's going to be one-on-one. So if you've ever been counseled by us, spiritual advised by us, or we've ever married you, you know how much we love marriages. So come and be restored and just allow your marriage to be refreshed again. So until next time, we want to thank you again for rocking out. Remember that you are a product of God's grace and God's mercy. And we can't wait to rock out with you tomorrow. Day 3, Married to Ministry. We're going to talk about it. Until then,